I'm back at the Scramble. There's fewer cars than normal. That may be something to do with the weather. Let's go and have a look, see what we can find, eh? Well, welcome to a very wet, muddy, slightly snowy, damp Bicester Scramble in January. Here we are, and it's definitely a day for the winter daily driver. We'd be amazed what people have turned out in. It's always fun to see what the people have turned out in. Actually, there's a lot of people, fair play, who are driving really nice cars, but not so many people here today as there would normally be in the spring and the autumn. Let's go and have a look, shall we? See what we can find. Now, I sort of promised myself I wouldn't do too many Porsches, but this one, well, it's carmine red, which is a colour that I rather like, funnily enough. So there it is, a nice Carrera GTS in carmine red, looking very smart. And now here's a car that I know well. It's a 4S, so obviously, hello, cheerio. Michelin Pilot Sports, but 4S making light work of that mud. There we go. Excellent. Proving that most cars these days are good enough to be all year round cars. Here's another red Porsche. Don't think this is carmine red, and maybe there's an issue with the tappets. Maybe it's just a diesel. I guess the GR is quite a good car for these sorts of conditions. You're not going to really lack for traction, are you, or performance? Look good. And there's another red car. I've got to say, of the ones I've seen so far today, this is probably the bravest decision to bring this out in the winter. Let's just look at these. Deary me, that is not a tyre designed for the wet and the slimy. Look at them out treading that as well, which is to say not a lot. Classic 350i. They used to call these the wedge. Absolutely brilliant little TVR. Very nice indeed. It's notable how few cars there are here this year, or I should say this time of year, because most people would think, well, you know what, it's a bit cold and miserable, and it was pretty foul earlier on. But actually, what's equally delightful is how many people have bothered to turn up and turn out in all sorts of different cars. I guess if you've only got one car and it happens to be an M2 competition, then you'll use it, but it's rather nice to see, isn't it? Little GTI there. Seems to be working. Yeah, I think you're fine. You should be all right. Thanks, man. One of the things that's so great about Scramble, and I think will resonate with a lot of people, is how anybody's pride and joy is evidently a pride and joy and fits in. So who we are is I think it's a Gen 2 997 Boxster, possibly black edition, although probably not. Anyway, pride and joy. You can tell from the condition of the paintwork and how the water's beading on it. It's looked after really well. Then equally, if I swing round, somebody else's pride and joy. It's on a 55 plate. That is not a particularly new car. Coming up 20 years old, but my goodness, that is still a good looking Aston. And I know, because my neighbour's got one, that it sounds sensational on startup. And that is a very lovely thing to own. And that's the joy of our love of cars, is that we all get excitement and pride and pleasure that comes from having these fantastic things in our driveway. relatively uncommon 996 GT3. Use the leg zoom, there we go. There's a Subaru behind me, if that's what you're wondering what the noise is. But it's very tidy, that's good, isn't it? It's got the very, I'm going to struggle with the camera now, it's got the classic, just see the edge there, the classic 996 buckets, very wide shouldered buckets. Got the spoiler, very clean back end. And of course, one of the things that's so appealing about the 996 is it's such a slim car. Look at that, so slim. So you can have one of those, or you can have a probably just as quick GTS. Cayman GTS 982 or 718. I can't remember the name of that colour. Is it Miami blue? Top of my head. That's a swift little motor car as well. Spoilers up. Nice. Looks very sharp in these conditions. Very sharp, like that. Right, here we go. Lovely little Alpha V6, just on its way off, I think. Is he about to go? Anyway, nice big V6 in that big, properly comfy car. Move out of the way so we can come back. Nice, good burble out the front there. And then compare and contrast with a big fat AMG, and tucked behind that, someone else with their camera, is the Audi S8 of Ronin fame. So from one big German V8 to another. Rather fun, isn't it? Of course, famously no RS8, but the lovely, are they Avis wheels? It's a big car, isn't it? It's a big car. Proper old big bruiser saloon. So it's definitely emptying out now. There'd normally be a whole load of cars here. There was some McLarens on the right here, but there's still a nice McLaren on the left here while the chap doing his filming. But rather appropriately in what I'm going to describe as white, sure I'll be corrected, is a little 993 complementing the grey of the day, looking rather fine. Is that an XJ15? Was it the Ian Callum special? Was that the Ian Callum's one? This is a Callum design. Anyway, a nice pair looking very bold and colourful in the grime. Well, this is a rather lovely Ferrari, isn't it? Look at that. Classic sort of scramble. Lovely car. Chaps chatting. Very nice indeed. And then as you swing round, most of the cars have gone home, but here's a little contemporary of the Ferrari. Rather elegant 996. I think this is a 4 actually. I know that because I saw it earlier. Porsche fans will know the colour combination here. I'm going to call it green with a tan interior with the chrome highlights. But that is a really delicate little motor car. Carrera 4. It's not too powerful, lots of traction. Framed rather elegantly by the Luz. What more could you ask? Now, I'm not a Merc expert, but I think that's a SEC. But engine size, I can't tell from here. Should we go and have a look at the back? Some big lump of Buick Americana here. Let's whiz around that. There we go, 420 SEC, look at that. They don't make them like that anymore, do they? So it's definitely now going home time. It's starting to rain again, and it's pretty much emptied out. There's a few people ahead of me. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that quick look around the January Scramble of Bicester Heritage, and seen a few cars. And if you stayed at home, you're probably warmer than me. You'll certainly be drier than me, but equally, I hope, having enjoyed a few nice, tasty cars as much as I have. So, thanks for watching. See you for the next one.